Myself Loveleen Kaur. I am from Khalsa College of Engineering and Technology, Amritsar. Today I am going to discuss a topic that is based on the computer networks. This is very interesting and vast field that the students can choose this field as a career. So today I'm going to start the introduction and fundamental concepts of computer networks. So before going into depth, firstly we will discuss some basic concepts related to the computer networks. So now we will start with the basic concepts of data communication. So what this data communication means? So this data and communication are two words. So this data, that means the raw facts or raw material, whatever you enter into the computer system, and it gives information after processing. So what this communication? So this is the interaction between the two persons while we are communicating with each other. For example, like the classroom teaching, you can say if the teacher is teaching something and the students are listening something. So this interaction is the concept of communication. So communication is broadly divided into two parts. One is local and one is remote. Whatever example we have discussed in the classroom teaching, that comes under the category of local communication. And the remote communication deals with the further apart. That means you are communicating, for example, if one person is sitting in Amritsar and another is in Ludhiana and both they want to communicate with each other. So this is a remote communication, and it means if you consider the case in the networking, so that means the devices are further apart. So that is the case of the remote communication. So when these two words combined, it becomes the some information and some meaning. So what this data communication actually? So this data communication is the exchange of data between the two devices via some form of medium. So this medium can be a wired or wireless. So wired or wireless. If we consider the case of wired, that means you can consider the twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and fiber optic cables. And if you consider the case of a wireless, that you can consider the microwaves, radio waves, satellites. So all these come under the category of wireless mediums. So now we will move to the concept what are the components of data communication. So if we consider the case, if we have a one sender and one receiver and there is a medium in between, so this is the one form of data communication. So sender is the one component, receiver is one of the component, and which is the medium, transmission medium is the third one component, and two other components are there. One is message and one is protocol. So message is the actual information what you are sending to the particular receiver. So sender who sends the data and receiver who receives the data, and the message your actual data whatever you are sending from the initial device to the destination device. So now let's move to the component that is a protocol. So what is this protocol? So this protocol terms means this is a set of rules and procedures that govern the communication between the two devices. So protocols helps the persons or the devices to communicate with each other. So without protocols, two computers can be connected, but it can't be communicate with each other. So for example, you can say if you have a devices and that are connected with each other and there is no a software communication between these, so these two devices can't communicate with each other. So if there are protocols are available, so that means the two devices can share the information with each other. So various functions of protocols are there: data routing, data formatting, flow control, error control, connection establishment and connection releasing, log information. So many functions are of various protocols are there. So let's move to the next topic, that is the transmission medium. And we have already discussed these mediums are of two types. One is wired and one is wireless. Wired is twisted pair, coaxial, fiber optics, and wireless are the microwaves, radio waves, satellites, or so many. And if we talk about the topic that is the transmission modes, so what is this transmission mode? So the term transmission modes refers the direction of flow of data between the two devices. That is, you can say this represents the signal flow between the two devices. Actually, this is categorized into three parts. One is the simplex mode and half duplex mode and full duplex mode. If we consider the case of a simplex, that is a unidirectional. That means in the simplex transmission, data can send in only one direction. Keyboards and the traditional monitors are the examples of the simplex mode. So in this case, keyboards act as a, and it takes the input, just only a input, and monitors, it accepts the output only. That means one device can send the data only and other device can receive the data only. So if we talk about the case of a half duplex case, so in the case of a half duplex, the data transmit in both direction but one at a time. That means one device is sending the data, so other can also receive the data but not at the same time. So it means the system or the sender can transmit or receive the data not at the same time. So for example, a walkie talkie is one of the example of the half duplex case. And next we will move to the third case, that is the full duplex. So in the case of full duplex or full transmission, so data can be sent in both directions at a time. So that means the sender can send the data or receive the data simultaneously. So telephone networks is one of the example of full duplex case. So let's move further, and if we talk about the line configuration in the networks, so what this line configuration means? So line configuration is the way how the devices are actually connected with each other to a communication line. So line configuration is categorized into two parts. So one is the point to point and another one is the multi-point. So point to point, that means there is a dedicated link between these two devices. So dedicated means there is a particular link between the two devices. So if we talk about the case of a multi-point, so this is means when two or more devices are connected to a single line. So these comes under the category of broadcast networks. So in this type, which type of networks are used? That are broadcast networks. So what this line configuration? So line configuration means the way how the devices are connected to a communication line. So line configuration is categorized into two parts. One is point to point and another one is multi-point. If we talk about the case of point to point, this means there is a dedicated link between the two devices. What this dedicated means? This dedicated means the entire capacity of the link or channel that is allocated for the two devices, for these two devices that are currently processing with each other. Next, if we talk about the case of a multi-point, so this multi-point means there are more than two devices are connected to a single line. So this is come under the category of the networks of broadcast networks. So what this broadcast networks? So in broadcast network, one machine sends the data that is received by all the machines that are currently connected to a communication line. So these two types comes under the category of line configuration. So now we will move to the actual concept of computer networks. Whatever we have discussed till now, that all are the basic concepts of a computer networks. Now we will come to the point. So what is this computer network? So computer network is a set of devices that are interconnected with each other via some form of medium. So I have already discussed this medium can be a wired or as well wireless. In other ways, you can say computer network is the interconnection of various computers, so that can share the information, information, files and folders, or so many resources like printer, webcam, scanner, etc. So one of the biggest example of the network is the internet. So what we have done according to the computer networks categorize the model types. So basically we have two types of models are there. So first is the peer to peer model, and second one is the client server model. If we talk about the case of peer-to-peer model, so this peer-to-peer model means there is no master or slave. So all the devices are independent to work, and they can communicate with each other. But if we consider the case of a client server system, so in this case, so client act, so one system can act as a client and another can act as a server. So in which client requests to the particular server for a particular task, and then server respond back to the client for processing. So now if they want to communicate further, they are having some set of primitives are there. So basis on the set of primitives, they will communicate further. So how this network can be created, and how you can say what is the representation, what is the way how the networks will be created, and what are these computers are connected with each other. Actually, this term deals with the representation of a network. So what does representation mean? Actually, technically term deals with the topology word. This topology means how the way how the devices are connected with each other. Or you can say this is the geographical representation of a particular network in which more than two devices are connected with each other. So what this representation say? So on the behalf of representation, this topology is divided into various types, and while selecting the particular topology, various factors are considered. For example, cost, reliability, scalability, ease of installation. So lot of things like bandwidth, capacity. So all these factors are considered while selecting the particular topology. So we have a various types of topologies are there, like bus topology, tree topology, hybrid topology, like star topology, and many more are there. So thank you very much.